Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Real Quick with Mike Swick podcast special quarantine series, episode number 2. We have a very special guest today that I really wanted to bring on early. She's one of the most positive people I know, one of the most positive people in the UFC, and one of the best fighters in the UFC. She is a top contender in the strawweight division and just an amazing person. Today's guest is Michelle, the Karate Hottie Waterson. All right, Michelle, welcome to the show. The new quarantine series special, episode number 2, and the quarantine special, just seeing what everybody's doing in quarantine. And Josh joining you, of course.
Yeah, man, it's today's supposed to be my fight day. I was supposed to be fighting today, but that didn't happen.
That's crazy. So what is it like going through this in the States for you guys, especially you being a fighter and having a fight that was supposed to be scheduled today? How is that affecting everything, I guess? I mean, are you going out? Are you training? Or are you basically staying at home?
We're definitely staying at home. Usually my mom comes down to help us with the camp, to take care of Araya when we leave for fight camp or for fight week. And then we bring her and Araya out Thursday or Friday. But, since all this stuff happened, my mom's been here with us. And that's the biggest concern, right? It's because the virus really affects people that have pre-existing conditions. And my mom does definitely have pre-existing conditions. She's a breast cancer survivor, but she has high blood pressure, thyroid issues. She has diabetes. And so a lot of, respiratory issues that keeps us concerned. Luckily, we have an amazing home gym here at our house. We're on a little under an acre, and when we bought the house, we wanted to make sure that we had a place to train. Not for things like this, but I mean,
of course,
definitely came in handy. Our whole thing was, when we came home, it just took chunks out of our day having to drive to different places when we had to worry about taking care of Araya and making sure that she had all of her activities taken care of, and that she, that we could be with her for dinner and be at home to help her with her homework and stuff like that. So, building the home gym for us was more so for that, but we've been lucky to have basically everything we need to run our camp here at home.
Yeah, that's good. So, I mean, the thing is, it's kind of an equal playing field, I guess. I mean, everyone that's training right now that could possibly be fighting is going to have to be training alone. I mean, it seems like that's pretty much the consensus of staying home or staying away from people as much as possible, which kind of conflicts with being a fighter because you're supposed to train at a gym with multiple training partners, and then they're going and doing their thing all day. So the risk is just quite substantial, I would think.
It is, but it's crazy because I feel like it's one of those things if you're strong, I almost kind of feel like before we even knew things were, there was this virus going around, there was a huge sickness in the gym. I want to say in January, where everybody in the gym got sick. And it was just kind of for probably a good 2 or 3 weeks, everybody in the gym was sick, and then it passed. And I'm kind of curious as to if maybe it was the coronavirus that everybody got, and then, it just passed through our system, and then we all got over it, But you'll never know because nobody got tested for it at that time. And, Jackson's is an international gym. We have people coming from all the world, from China, India, Australia, Russia, to stay, in Albuquerque. So I don't know. It's one of those things that's kind of out of our control, and we can only do what is in our control. And to me, one of the biggest things to do is to keep your immune system up. And for me, when I'm in camp, I'm the most healthy.
Yeah. Yes. You okay?
I'm scared to cough when I go to the grocery store now. It's get dirty looks.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying there might be some. I've heard actually some people say they were sick in January as well, really bad flu, and they got over it. So what you're saying is there could be some sort of immunity where certain people are immune to it, and then maybe that'll just grow and take over and eventually just end this whole thing.
Well, I think that's what they're saying is supposed to happen anyway, right? Everyone's supposed to get it.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. And so I remember even in January, like Michelle was saying, people, well, they felt good and they were like, no, I just can't get rid of this damn cough. And if you
Yeah.
look at the symptoms, that's based kind of what it is, right? So,
Right, right.
yeah, so we're curious to, but we are all healthy, and from what they say, people that are healthy are just going to get over it. The concern is, like Michelle was saying, her mom, that's the biggest concern for us. Because even with our daughter, we were really concerned. And some of the stuff that I read says that,
It doesn't affect them the same
she'd
way.
be okay as well, too.
I
But
think the concern is what's a 20. They're saying right now. Well, according to the stats, I just sent you the world metrics, but the stats are at 21% fatality rate right now, which is crazy high if you think about it. And
yeah,
in just the terms of like the Spanish flu is one of the biggest kind of epidemics that we've had in. And I guess recent time, it didn't happen obviously recently, but that killed something like 50 million people, I think. But the fatality rate of the Spanish flu was only 2%. So only 2% of the people that actually got the Spanish flu actually died, and those were the people that couldn't get the medication and couldn't get the
yeah,
support that they needed. This in closed cases right now, it went from 17, 18, 19, now it's up to 21%. So basically, of all the closed cases of this coronavirus, 21% have died, whether it being old people or the elderly or young or middle-aged. There's been obviously a little bit of everyone, though it's more targeting weaker people that have like some kind of, existing situation,
Yeah.
medical condition or whatever. But the
yeah,
problem is going to be in another week or two because the hospitals are going to fill up. So what they're worried about is when the hospitals fill up, then it's not going to matter if you're old or young or whatever, because if you can't get to a respirator, that's when, and you start getting turned away from the hospital, they think that's when the whole like crisis is going to turn into a whole nother level, when there's people waiting to get treated and they can't get treated, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane. I'm gonna have to read that. I didn't have time today, but I will read it. 'Cause a lot of the stuff that I've read says that it's the fatality rate was less than 1%. You know,
No.
yeah, that's
The link I sent you is updated like every couple hours. It's 503,000 total cases in the U.S. right now, or it was cases in the U.S. And of active cases, there's 460,000 still active,
yeah,
approaching 19,000 deaths. So if you looked at the closed cases of recovered versus deaths, it's a 21% fatality rate. Now, you can't go by the active cases because they haven't had a chance to survive or die yet. So
Yeah.
when you look at 19,000 deaths and 450,000 cases, that's obviously not even close to 21%, but it's
yeah,
because they haven't had a result yet.
Yeah.
So it is scary.
yeah, for sure.
I understand it's scary too, but I also I get from something that I read said that when they close the case, they're not taking into consideration their pre-existing conditions. You know what I
True.
mean? So, like, I mean, I'm sure that has to have a factor on it as well, and I think that it's important for everybody to be smart and oblige by the rules that are being set in place. But I also think it's important for people not to freak out and not to let it consume their life and to take over their mind, because that can, your mind is a powerful tool, and your mind can affect your immune system. And if you're constantly allowing
Negative.
negative energy into your mind space, then you will break your body down.
Yeah, I think it's different just because of where I'm at right now. Like the mentality is so different that that's why I like talking to you in the States, be like Tyron and yourselves, because it's so different the way people are looking at it. Like for us here in Thailand, we're not even in the top 20 countries right now as far as how many cases we have and deaths and stuff like that. So we're pretty low actually. But even that being said, we are on complete
Yeah.
lockdown. Like we get fined something like 20,000 baht, which is like $600 if you get caught out of your house without a mask on. You can't leave your area, which is basically like areas like Rawai, Patong. You were here before. So Phuket's broken into areas like neighborhoods kind of. You can't leave your area. You're stuck in your area for the next like 2 weeks, and then it could turn into longer. So everyone is locked down. They're going door to door, like sweeping doors and like checking people for corona, checking temperatures, spraying the streets down. Like it's like military, like checkpoints everywhere, and it's crazy. But it's like I think this is definitely gonna like kind of go ahead.
Yeah. So I was gonna say this though. Think about this though. Like that is pretty crazy. That's insane to me. Now imagine if the president passed that here in the States. People would go nuts. People would go crazy.
if those rules were enforced, it would probably be a lot better, but nobody listens. You know what I mean? They tell you that they tell you, okay, schools are shut down, you're on quarantine. You know, summer starts a little early for all these kids. And you see people at Target shopping for, pool noodles and, stuff because their summer started early, and it's just like,
That's what I was,
so I think if if there was a rule enforced, but what if you don't have a mask? Is it the right type of mask? And then yeah, so it's just kind of like one of those things, like nobody's listening.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I do think do your part for sure. But every time we go to the grocery store, I feel like I feel like everyone is out. I mean, you have our community, our area here. It's pretty active
crazy.
community. But now it's like tripled. It is pretty crazy. The trails, from what I understand now, are full, and it's like, hey guys, what are you guys doing? Now if it's by yourself and you're doing your thing, you're still kind of quarantined, right? But now you have groups of there were some photos I saw, groups of 15, 20 people out hiking. What do you guys do?
well, it just that's the thing about America. It's kind of like one of
We're
those things,
spoiled.
like you want what you can't have, right? So it's like when we have the ability and freedom to get out and socialize, we don't, we're stuck on our phones doing technology, and now that we're all supposed to be quarantined, we're like, I need an air. But and I was telling Josh too, it might look like there's a lot of people on the streets, but maybe they are just going to get the essentials that they need, but are obliging by the rules and keeping the 6 feet distance and this and that. But it just looks like more because nobody's at work anymore. Everybody's, taking
Right.
care of a bunch of other things. And so I don't know. And to be honest with you, all I
Yeah.
can control is myself. That's kind of what everything has boiled down to. There's no reason for me to get up in arms about what everybody else is doing. As long as, I'm doing my part and we're staying home, we're stocking up on our vitamins, making sure we're taking vitamin C, D, zinc,
That's the
everything
crazy thing.
across the
That's
board.
always been on us, and now you can't find any. Where we go to the store to just get one pack,
Yeah.
but people are hoarding everything now, so you can't find anything.
Yeah, so we're just, we're doing that. We only go out when we need to. We're wearing our masks. And that's all we can do really is be in control of what we're doing. But another thing is like we still have to continue to find a way to make a living, especially as a fighter. It's not like, it is kind of a scary moment, like because I am in the entertainment business. Like that's what my job entails: entertaining individuals, entertaining people by the masses.
Yeah.
And that's what they're shutting down is entertaining people by the masses. You can't pull people in, stuff like that. And so, there's no point in crying over spilled milk. We got to figure out what we can do in order to keep generating an income so that we can support our family, so that we can, keep up with all of our monthly bills and this and that. I can stress about it, or I can
Right.
figure out a way to make it work,
Yeah.
Those are our only choices. But I do think that now you're getting into, America is huge. And then everybody in America is, it's like has an opinion, and, we should be doing this and we should be doing that. The biggest thing that we should be doing is just listening and taking instruction from what they're trying to
See,
tell
that's
us to
why it's
do.
good talking to you because the perspective is so different. Like for me, being on an island where tourism, in a country where tourism is the number one economic resource, and to see that every single hotel, every single restaurant, every single business, like the government's mandated that everything is closed. So to see a country that basically survives off tourism and these businesses being open, closing all of them, even I had to close down the gym. I mean, I'm the gym is just a ghost town right now, until this thing gets taken care of. So when you see that, I think it adds a little more panic to us and a more serious kind of mentality. Like, so we get a little bit more scared, I think, than what it sounds like you guys are in America, from what y'all are hearing. So I think it's just there's just a different perspective of what we're having to go through and what you're having to go through. Because for us, it's like we're terrified of everyone and everything because of the state that we're in and the way they're treating us. It's not like I think we have the same freedoms as there, where we're like, oh, this may not be so bad. We got to stay strong and not be, be ourselves and everything. We're just like, oh shit, we got to stay in our house and like not be around anybody. Like that's the way they make us think right now.
Yeah. Well, I do think we got to stay away, but again, I think all the stuff that I've read, I really truly think that we would, overcome it, or maybe we already did. Again, our biggest concern is our mother-in-law.
Yeah, of course.
But I think also too, if you get overconsumed, because there was a time where my mother-in-law is like nonstop on the news, and there was a little bit of time where we started to just kind of read a ton of it, and then for sure we started even kind of getting scared. Like, man, is this something we have to worry about? Should we stock up on things? So yeah, I think it does kind of put the fear in you,
All right. Well, looking into more positive light, I want to talk about the quarantine stuff as well. Obviously, what you guys are doing in quarantine, but instead of just the negativity. So, Araya, did she just have a birthday yesterday? And she's 9, right?
Her birthday was on the 18th, and
March.
Yeah, she was.
I saw the post yesterday.
Oh, that was for my nephew.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Araya, maybe.
Yeah, that was for my nephew. But no, Araya she just turned 9.
Yeah.
And no friends over. We were planning a huge sleepover, but that didn't happen. But she's a trooper. We've been getting through this thing. She really does miss being able to socialize with people her age.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're pretty blessed in the fact that to have to be quarantined, we pretty much have everything we need. We have a pool here at our house. We have the gym here at the house, and so we're able to keep her entertained for the most part.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to you guys like soon during this series, because like y'all seem like y'all have the most happiest family ever. Like how much greater would it be to be quarantined with you guys? Like you got an amazing daughter, and y'all are a great couple together. We've hung out when you were here in Thailand. And you're always so positive. So this is like therapy for me too, being able to talk to somebody so positive. So thank you.
Are you quarantined by yourself?
I am. Yes, I am. I'm on one-man studio right now. I mean, I have my team doing editing and stuff like that, but this is all just like, yeah. I mean, that's the way we are right now, where everybody's just kind of like...
Only grocery stores, or what else is open, if anything?
I couldn't go anywhere. I hit a checkpoint today to go to the gym, and even as the owner, they wouldn't let me in another sub-district, so everything's shut. The stores are open, so you can go to the store, but Monday they're trying to do another lockdown where they want you to stay in your house. So from that point, I don't know exactly what we're going to be able to do. So I stocked up on like enough stuff to last for 2 weeks. And I don't even want to go out, to be honest. Like the way they're combing the city and Phuket, I want to just sit in here and let them do what they want to do. And hopefully they accomplish their mission. And then we can go back to like opening the gym eventually and getting back to normal. So I've been doing a lot of Netflix and podcasts, getting ready for the podcast and doing as much work as I can as far as planning for the future of AKA Thailand. Speaking of which, I wanted to ask you, have y'all seen Tiger King on Netflix?
Absolutely.
Is that crazy?
She killed her. Yeah, what do you think? She killed her husband for sure.
She of course she killed her husband.
She fed him to the tigers. She fed him to the tigers.
It was nuts.
Do you know they're having a follow-up show on the 12th?
Well, also I heard I don't know if this is true. You don't really know what to believe anymore. But I saw one of the reporters actually asked the president if they would look into that case again, and even the president was like, "What is this? What do you think? Do you think she killed her husband?" And I guess he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, we'll look into it." And they're talking about, because of the documentary, now they might release what's his name?
The Tiger King. The Tiger King.
Tiger King. Yeah.
Joe Exotic.
What's his name?
Joe Exotic. Joe Exotic. He it has something like 35 million views. I don't know like in how long it took to get that much. Maybe the first week or since then, I don't know, but it had like crazy amount of views on Netflix. So it was the perfect timing with quarantine to make us all feel a little bit better.
It did. I mean, Josh and I were pretty like blown away as far as when they were talking about how inexpensive the tiger cubs were. I was like,
$2,000.
You could buy a tiger cub for $5,000.
$2,000. Yeah. If you go if you go illegally with Joe Exotic, you can get it for $2,000.
Oh, okay. Because I was telling Josh, like, there's even like a lot of just pure,
Yorkies.
like the pure breed like dogs that are more expensive than that.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was crazy.
Yeah, but the issue is, in order to buy them, you have to have like licenses, and you have to like have all these like the setup for them and everything. And that's where it gets expensive. And then you just unfortunately you just can't shoot them like Joe thinks you can do. And so once they get big, you have to like take them to a zoo or do something with them. Which, wow, I can't wait for this next special to see like what's going on.
I didn't know there was another one.
Huh?
Yeah, that's insane. I didn't know they were doing another one.
The whole community is pretty crazy, right? Because they all kind of have their own little thing going on with who is the other guy?
Cultish,
yeah, the
right?
other guy had like his like wives living on the compound with them, and
It's
they
a
all
cult.
had to dress up like cougars.
It's like a cult. They're all like in this cult, different tiger cults. It's unbelievable. How did this guy make it this long without getting discovered is what I want to know. And he had his own show. So he was like on the internet. And the funny thing is me and Mark, who's not here right now, obviously, we went to his YouTube channel and like went back before the show, aired to see what his content was actually like. And we watched one episode, and it was probably one of the funniest things we've ever seen in our life because, when you do a show and you put it out, at some point he had to have watched that and been like, okay, perfect. This is how we want it.
Really?
And then puts it out. But when you watch it, it is so unperfect to what he should have put out. And you're just like, that is what you think. In fact, the episode that we saw, and it was one of the 3 or maybe 3 down called the Live Joe Show, whatever it is. He shot a cow on the show. Literally shot a cow. Yeah. He called it euthanized. But he literally shot a cow. It said, stay tuned for this special announcement. And then it shows him with a gun, and there's a cow laying on the ground, and he shoots it, and it just rolls over. And then at the end of the show, he's like, if I have to shoot 3 more cows to get on the news, I'll do it. And me and Mark were just like, oh my God, did he just really shoot an animal on his show? And it's on YouTube. Like, it literally is there right now. It's crazy.
That's insane.
Well, that kind of reminds me of the other Netflix docu-series about that psycho who killed cats on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Don't F with cats.
I saw that.
Have you seen that one?
That's crazy too.
Dude, like, I mean, those are signs. Those are warning signs, folks. Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, it's a progression.
Yeah.
That's a progression for somebody that's mentally ill. Like, that's how they progress. They start with animals, and then they go to bigger animals, and then they, and that's scary. That is not nothing to be messing with.
Yeah.
Like, and man.
Then you break in there, then you go into their house and search, and you see like lampshades with skin and like pieces of bodies in the freezer, and it never ends good when they start killing animals like that.
No, that's great.
But I will say, just on a lighter note, there's another show that just came out called LA Originals with Cartoon and Estevan. I don't know if you know this on the West Coast. The West Coast guy's Cartoon that does all the tattoos for like Eminem, 50 Cent, Exhibit. It's actually a really positive documentary. It's opposite of Tiger King, but it's really good too. So just in case you guys get bored, it's a good one.
No. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Hey, it's Mama Waterson. How are you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Phuket, right?
Yeah.
Phuket.
Uh-huh.
He's telling us that there are everybody's on lockdown.
I told you when you talk to Bibi,
No, he said it's really bad. Like, they're not letting people go out the house.
I told you.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
They're locking it down here. It's they're not playing around.
I heard that because of the climate there, it's kind of hard for the virus to survive.
Who knows? I mean, that's what they said. Like, I don't know. Like, they've scared us enough that we're not taking any chances, so we're staying inside.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you though. So what have you been doing since the fight with Joanna? And obviously you were supposed to fight. Coming up today. I guess it's today. You said. I'm so lost on what day it is. So what next? Like, what are they gonna do? You're ready. You look ready. What did Dana say? Like, what do you're? I know you're pro this fight island. You're ready to go to fight on this fight island. So like, are you ready to go and like?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we have bills to pay, and we have to continue to keep moving forward, and we got to figure out a way.
Yeah.
And I know that that Dana isn't going to do this recklessly. If he does that, not if. He has decided to do it, and the only way he can do it is if he takes the correct precautions.
Right.
They're not going to let him follow through with any of this unless he's taking the right precautions, and I trust that that he has, our best interest at hand. He's trying to continue to stimulate, the UFC business, and a lot of fighters depend on that income. How many fighters are under the UFC roster? Over 500.
Right.
And then outside of that, the fighters' coaches depend on their income so that they can get paid. Nutritionists, managers, and then you have all of the UFC staff, and then you have, the film crews and all of the different places. So, I mean, the UFC is a huge business, and he's just trying to, keep his business afloat, and I appreciate him for being, a trailblazer in that way, and being bold enough to figure out a way to get it done. And I know he's going to do it in a way that is, thinking about like everybody's safety,
Yeah, well, from what we had already understood, he was going to test everyone going out there, whether it was athletes, coaches, everyone. So, that would have been just good for everyone there to have peace of mind. Or, hey, you do have it, go figure out what you need to get done.
Right.
Yeah, once we heard Dana talking the way he was, Dana, we knew, all right, get it done. If he said that, I'd bet on Dana. If you made me bet, I'd for sure bet on him. So once we saw that, we're like, all right, this is gonna happen. Right now, what they're telling us is, they did put stuff on hold, but I think early May, maybe mid-May is when things will get cleared up. So they're just hoping that some of the athletes can be ready because, like you said, not everyone has the setup. We invested in this because, again, like Michelle was saying earlier, we didn't want Araya going out late at night when we were doing stuff. So we have our gym, we have a pool, so we have a pretty good setup as far as continuing to train. The only thing is we don't have coaches and sparring partners and stuff like that. So she just kind of whoops me,
Yeah.
It's been crazy, like a crazy schedule, but that's just that's a story of a fight. That's a fighter's journey. Like, you can't predict what's going to happen. Sometimes there's things that happen that are out of your control within the world. Sometimes you get injured and then you're out for, a year. You just never know, and you have to be able to adapt and overcome. And that's just the story of a fighter's journey, in my opinion. I think that, we're built to overcome challenging situations, and this is just another situation.
Yeah, I think, and the crazy thing is, it's hitting like every single type of business, every single type of job and person. Like, it's such a broad spectrum economic disaster for everyone. Not even counting, obviously, the most important thing, the health issue and deaths and things like that. It's such a spread out pandemic, and so it's like it's hitting every different type of job, especially in the entertainment industry, small businesses, business owners, entrepreneurs. Like, for me, myself owning the AKA Thailand, I got to just sit and wait. And like, I don't know how long I have to just keep paying the bills. It could be 1 month, it could be 2 months, it could be 6 months. Like, we don't know. So it's like, it's a stressful time for us.
Is the country out there doing anything for you guys as far as any sort of stimulus or anything?
No, they're. I think they're extending. My administration's working with them on. I think they're postponing certain fees and things like that. But for the most part, I think America's doing more as far as like issuing loans and different things like that. Like in Thailand, it's a little bit more difficult. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard for me to imagine how even Phuket's going to recover, considering. Like, everything's closed. Like, how many businesses can survive? I can survive a while with AKA Thailand, but it's like, how many businesses can sit and pay their expenses for like 4 months or 3 months and not go under? Yeah. That's the question. And so I think it's just going to be a lot of closed businesses here by the time this thing gets over with. And that's everywhere.
Yeah, I think same here too.
But so you had a bit saved up so that you're okay?
Yeah, definitely. We always have cash reserves, but you never count on the worst possible scenario, which is a widespread pandemic that's going to completely shut down the airport of Phuket when, you're a gym that, we cater to only foreigners. So this is probably the worst case scenario. So yeah. I'm okay because I've had business before and I've sold businesses in the past where I have, excess capital for that. So it's like, I'm okay for now, but like, we don't know how long it's going to last. And so there's that stress of like, wow, and not only it's not about survival, but it sucks just seeing the money disappear each month, and like, that's money that could have been used to build more and to expand and to make things bigger. So it's definitely going to slow us down. It's definitely going to, hold back that momentum that we had at the least. And then you got guys, fighters like yourself that are entertainers, comedians, actors, like everybody's just kind of on hold because they don't allow groups together. They're shut down movies, they're shutting down fights. So it's just a real scary time for everybody.
That's what we were talking. I was going to say we were talking about that to one of Michelle's mental coach because he's a little bit older. How old is Doc?
He's in his 60s.
In his 60s, and we're just talking about has he ever experienced anything near this? And even he was like, no, nothing to this extreme, right? And this scary possibly, So something to talk about for sure. This will definitely be in the history books, I think.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope this people will become immune to it. I know what you said. I listened to the Minister of Defense in Israel state basically the same thing, saying that eventually what's going to happen, like in other viruses in the past, slowly there's going to be immunity with people. There'll be like 0.1% will be immune, then like 0.5%, then 1%, then 5%, then 10%. And eventually that number will get to 60, 70, 80%. And then it'll be, basically releases a state of emergency. I hope that happens. Yeah. I hope that happens fast because I think producing a vaccine and tests on a wide scale like this is going to take too long.
Yeah. Well, I think on our end, I find hope in it too, just because of the stuff that I have talked with some of the UFC brass. Like they're confident. I really truly believe that they could have made this weekend happen. They just and I think Dana's been very vocal about this. He got asked by higher ups to just, hey, kind of slow down.
Right.
But he made it and like it was ready to go. So that tells me that, they had the necessary stuff in place already to say, all right, let's go,
Yeah.
And I do think within, they're thinking 30 days. I think within 30 days, things will kind of hopefully normal out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so, man. I want to see you guys fighting. I want to watch the fights, and I want to open the gym and have the fighters coming in. I want to see you guys back at AKA Thailand and in Thailand and hanging out. When do y'all plan to come back if everything gets back to normal?
For sure.
We had a lot of plans to do traveling this year. We had plans to go to Fiji, to Hawaii, back to Thailand. We were planning on going out to Europe this year. So sometimes things just happen that are out of your control, and this is one of them. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think about the idea that somehow this had been released the virus had been released purposefully?
I don't know. Who knows? Like here's what I will say. I will say this. I think China should be held responsible for this to some degree. Yeah. I think they should be held responsible financially or somehow. Every country has to the stimulus and things like that. Every country has to kind of take a big hit and then do something for their citizens to help them financially because of how bad this is. And then China has the least amount of cases almost than anybody right now. And they're back to recovering and normal. At the very least, it was negligent on their part. And if you're in America and you're driving recklessly in a car and you kill somebody, you're held responsible for that, and you could go to jail, manslaughter, whatever. I think that they were being negligent, and they released however they did it. They released something that affected the world, and I feel. I don't know how it can happen. I'm not an expert at this, but I feel they should be held responsible to some degree. I think they have an enormous amount of money in their country, and I think they should be held responsible to some degree to help in some way to But I don't know if it was purposely done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw something like that where I think it was Europe saying that they wanted to sue China for a crazy number, which I'm with you. I agree. It's 6.2 trillion. But yeah, I agree with regardless if it was like you said, if it was on purpose or accident, definitely some negligence was there, and you gotta handle it.
I think too, like there's a lot of misinformation being put out there, and maybe not even misinformation, but I think America is really good at giving too much information. Like I think that we have probably a lot of information about, how many people have been diagnosed, how many people have passed away. But I'm wondering, and I'm just curious to know if in other countries, everybody that thinks that they're diagnosed goes out to get tested, or do they just, quarantine themselves and stay home if they're sick and then get over it? Did they have it? Did they not? Are there people that have it and haven't got tested for it in other countries? You know what I mean? And so, and it just really kind of baffled how, the numbers in China just like all of a sudden stopped.
It just went down.
Yeah. What do you think about this? So I posted a story here recently. I got sent. I'm in like a couple of group chats where a lot of people are putting all the information of the coronavirus in there, and Fortune magazine put an article out, and they stated that in South Korea, 51 people that were positive for coronavirus healed and released were later found to have the virus again, and it was contagious, and they tested positive. So now there's a big scare of the fact that this can come back at any time. They've obviously, a virus never goes away, so they do know that it's in your system at some point. But they assume since the beginning that once they cure you, at least it won't come back to a state of making you sick and being contagious. Well, now they're saying they've got 51 people that they've tested that were clear that it's came back to. Like, if that is the case, that's a whole nother like can of worms right there. Like that scared me when I saw it, because I'm like, I mean, you're talking like everybody that has it has to worry. What are they going to do? Isolate everybody that tests positive and put them on some island? Something like what? Until they come up with a vaccine or a cure? It's like that. That was a scary article for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is kind of like the really sad truth, right? Is because like you just said, like a virus lives in you forever. Like it's kind of one of those things that your immune system either has to get over or it doesn't. And so what if we're all taking these precautions and the virus is gonna take its toll regardless?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
And you can what if everything to death. Like I said, all we can do, as responsible citizens is listen to the things that they're having us do and abide by the rules that they're having us do. And that's what we're doing. But most importantly, just staying healthy, really. Like that's the best. That's the best thing you could do for yourself and for the rest of the world is stay healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Stay healthy, and during this quarantine, like we've been doing a lot of productive stuff. So it's kind of a chance to reading certain books that we maybe haven't had a chance to read, and doing things around the house that we haven't had a chance to do. So it's just like, all right, well, cool, let's get this done. We're still able to work out, so it hasn't been too crazy. Because we're good here,
I was going to ask you, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, is what are y'all doing? Because now that you're spending so much time at home and not in the gym like normal, because that's your career, obviously, you spend a lot of time at the gym. What are you doing outside that's, in a different direction as far as like not career-wise, but just in a different professional direction? Are you doing any projects or working on anything that's coming up?
Yeah, we have a lot of things that we've been working on recently. One of the things that has kind of taken over is having to homeschool Araya because she's not in school. But that's a whole different story. Outside of the fighting stuff, we've been already, even before the quarantine, working on our app, which includes at-home workouts. So we've been really putting a lot of energy into that, getting that up and running. And then we have an apparel line that we're working on that we have time now to invest in. And then we also have invested in a restaurant.
Oh, nice.
And it's still it's in the process of getting built right now. It's supposed to open in April, but because of all this stuff that's happened, it's put a stop to that. So we're just taking our time with that, so we're not rushed and putting together all the details in that. So we got quite a bit of things that we're working on outside of fighting that is keeping us busy.
That's awesome. That's cool to hear, and I'm glad to hear that. And I hope that this gets controlled in a timely manner so that we can get everything back to normal. But definitely the sport and everybody back to doing what they love. And I'm just hoping that it doesn't get to a point where this goes on for so long. You know, like that it's. I mean, I guess you can agree with me. No one's going to stay in their house for 18 months. So if they're going to put this 18-month time limit on how long this is going to last or whatever, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's like you said, it's just going to be, people are just going to be like, okay, this is what it is. We're all going to get it. And there's no way people are going to stay inside their house for 18 months.
No way. We wouldn't survive, and
Well,
we would go into depression.
it would be worse doing that economically than it would be, that's how I feel about it. I feel like we have to figure out a way to continue living, to continue, keeping that wheel moving, with the virus. Like, how we just have to figure out an answer, like a different answer that's going to be more productive.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a way though. 18 months. It's long.
But we were talking about that the other day. Is it just going to be the norm to have a little bit more awareness of social distancing? Is everybody going to be wearing masks and gloves when they travel? I was talking about this to Josh because it was kind of like before, when people used to travel, it was not normal to have to go through security. You could just do whatever.
Right.
And like every time something happened with a bombing or with the hijacking of a plane, and with terrorism, the security got ramped up more and more and more. And at first people would complain about it, and then it just became the norm.
Right.
Because they had to implement those things in order to keep people safe. And I kind of feel like that might be the future of going to the grocery store or doing any type of shopping, is those precautions, making sure that there's a line and that you have to keep certain distance from people, and making sure that you're clean and the cleanliness of everybody. I don't know. Is it, are we gonna? Is my daughter gonna be like, I remember when you used to you can go into the store and touch random stuff, and now there's plexiglass between the cashier and the customer. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling that like the whole shaking hands and hugging and kissing on the cheek thing is going to be not going on for so much longer. I think that could be something that we see. And you know what? We saw people wearing face masks. I've been traveling to Asia for a while, and for the last easy 5 years, I've been seeing people wearing face masks in the airport. And I never did it, but I only didn't do it because I felt weird and I didn't want people like looking at me like I was strange, but I wanted to, just because I didn't want to get sick. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to get the flu or get a cold or something like that. I think that's a minimum that's going to happen. Is I think pretty much in airports we're going to always see that from now on. I don't think anyone's going to walk around without one, in my opinion. But I don't know. I don't want to end on a bad note. But thanks for being positive as you always are. You're always so happy. You always got great answers to everything. And I know it's tough right now with your fight being postponed. And you've obviously trained really hard for it. So I hope to see you get back in there and be able to fight again soon.
I hope so too. And I think that being able to talk to people around the world does help, open up your eyes and understand, the severity of the situation, and kind of shine a different light on the situation, because it is something that is affecting the entire world. But it's like, I just think about it like we live in a time where I can talk to somebody across the world and ask you what's going on and how severe is it out there, because if not, we would have never known how serious it is, or how the government has been treating the situation out there versus how we're being treated out here.
Right.
So I guess we'll see.
It's good for me too. I mean, it's good for me too to talk to you guys, and I'm getting a lot of perspective talking to y'all as well. I've been doing live feeds on my Instagram, talking to people from around the world, and that's my way of finding out what's going on and what the perspective is from different countries and different areas, because all I see is the news, and like you said, it's like some news is accurate, some news is fake news. It's like, so I don't really know how people feel. I just know what they're reporting. So when I talk to you guys, I know how y'all feel and where y'all stance is. So that kind of gives me more perspective of how I should feel, and makes me think about things a little bit differently than just being in this kind of situation that we're in over here, which is drastically different than in America, apparently. So,
and I can scary, dude. I can see how, because that is your reality, and your reality is different from ours at the time,
right?
Yeah, they might have to start doing that though, because yeah, like I said, when I do go to the groceries or anything, it feels like it's pretty busy. So, who knows? They might start citing people. I had read that they were going to start letting police arrest people, and from what I saw, a couple guys get arrested, right? But they were out paddleboarding by themselves, and see, to me, like, they're not around anyone. They're doing their thing,
right?
I don't see an issue with that, but I do think it's an issue if you're with a group of 4 or 5. You just shouldn't be happening,
Yeah.
What about your employees, like your coaches and stuff like that? Are you able to pay them, or how is that working?
Yeah, so I haven't laid off any staff yet. So I don't plan to lay any staff off. So right now it's just a matter of cutting hours. And as a business owner, it's like it's so tough, especially in Thailand, because how I have over 50 employees. So it's like, most people are laying employees off and they're losing their jobs, and they're not going to find jobs after this pandemic is over with, because no one's going to be hiring. They're going to be basically cutting hours and letting people go. So even though I'm keeping all my employees, it's tough giving them less hours and trying to work them in and give them as much as I can, and them taking a hit, because it's like, I feel so bad, because this is a part of the world where people need that money. They need their income, full hours. But at the same time, if everybody paid the full salaries and full incomes and didn't get any worker revenue, then everything would fail at a short period of time, and then we'd all lose, because we wouldn't have a business. So it's a real tough position to be in as a business owner. Luckily, everybody's been very positive. They've been very thankful to keep their jobs, and I'm working with them as much as I can. I'm bringing trainers in to do videos, and because we're building an app right now, an online app. So I'm bringing trainers in and paying them to do like videos for the app. We're doing some online stuff, and we're doing as much as we can just to keep things going and keep working, even though this is obviously dragging us down. But this has been the toughest test as a business owner and as an entrepreneur for me, after spending 10 years of building this gym to where it is, and like being so happy. Like I said before, like it was, we've had a record setting January, February, and March up until the 15th. So things were going so great, and things were just so amazing. And then boom, this thing hits. And then like after the 15th, 3 or 4 days later, I forgot what it was, the gym was completely shut down, and like no customers, no one could train. And it was just like, wow, this is the absolute worst case. So now I'm just like fired up as an entrepreneur to come back strong. I feel like we're supposed to fail now. We're supposed to lose. We're supposed to not be able to survive the situation. So now my focus and my goal and my fire is to come back and come back strong, and then be able to, when this thing is over, be like, we made it, we survived. My employees are still here. We're building the same thing that we were building before, and we're continuing that momentum. So that's that fire that's in me right now, is just to come back strong when people expect us to fail, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's the sign of a true leader, is to not sulk in the situation, but to figure out a way.
Right.
know.
And fighters fight, man. That's what you guys do, right? And that's what me and Michelle were talking about yesterday, right? I get it. This is rough. This is scary. But there's 2 ways to look at it, right? You could just
fight or flight.
Sit home and sulk, or now improve on something.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many people that we've talked to that when they were working, it was like, man, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. And now, like, you can't say you don't have time to do anything.
Right.
Even now, I'm talking to someone, I won't call them out. But I was talking to them, and I was saying, hey, so, you working out now in the mornings? No, I don't have time because of this. Listen, if you don't have time now, then you just really don't want it.
Yeah.
Like, this is the time for improvement. Go read a book, go, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, do some pull-ups. Our little one, we put a little pull-up bar in her room, and she gets her pull-ups in every hour, so it depends on how you look at it,
Got to stay moving, man. I agree with you. Yeah, that's why I'm doing the podcast. I'm doing the podcast. We're doing the apps. We're still working on the Akadi build, which Akadi is like this really cool thing that I was about to start building. Like I already excavated the land and we have the plans, and like I literally was about to build something that's never been done before. Like this was going to be monumental for me as an entrepreneur and a business owner to build this amazing new facility on the top of the land. So you remember AKA Thailand where the basketball court is. The land from that point all the way to the road is also my land. We were going to fill that up with this just amazing project. And so like that got obviously put on hold. But I'm still working on that. You know, I'm not losing track, and I'm not thinking that it's not going to happen now because of this. It's just paused and delayed. So I'm still doing the same. I'm still working on the same things, the concepts and the things that were the designs and the fine tuning all the building plans and everything, as if everything's still moving forward. Because you never know. Yeah. You know, sometimes when things bad happen, you just keep moving forward. Other doors open. I think you've heard this from many people in the past. You know, everyone has these stories, right? When you stop, doors don't open anymore. But as long as you keep pushing forward, even if you don't see anything in the future, things do just kind of start happening again. And so that's what I'm just hoping happens. You know, I'm hoping some doors fly open for me and then in the next couple months here. So, and for you too, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely they will. You know, I'm a strong believer. It's kind of like a game, right? You have to fight to get to the next level. You know, and every next level that you get to, the challenges become harder, you know, to overcome.
Yeah, absolutely. You just can't stop. And I think that's the fighter in us. So I don't want to take all your time. I know we had the time off a little bit. Sorry about that. I'm a little stir crazy and I was wrong on the time zones or whatever, but I appreciate you taking the time out for doing the podcast again. You're one of our in-studio guests as well, but it's great talking to you. Great seeing you as well, Josh. And you got to tell your Ray I said hi as well, and happy late birthday.
Well, yeah, we missed you guys. I saw all the cool places you got to take Tyron. So next time we're out there, you got to take us to the cool places.
I'm taking y'all to all the cool places next time. Don't worry.
All right, big man. Well, be safe out there, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye, guys. All right, so there you have it, Michelle Waterson and Josh. Great guests. I love talking to them, as you can tell. Be sure and subscribe, guys, to our channel. I'm going to keep these quarantine series going, and then we're going to get back to the normal podcast as soon as we can. I got a lot of guests lined up, so this, I assure you, is going to continue on. Some very interesting guests. I'm trying to find a broad spectrum of people that are in kind of different types of quarantines, people that are fighting, people that aren't fighting and aren't training at all, that are fighters, and just a big mix. So please subscribe. Please comment any comments, critical or not, what you think about the podcast, who you'd like to see on the podcast, how I did, if I did okay or not. And I want to thank you guys for watching and listening on the audio platforms. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. And I'll see you next time. Real